Now, before I get going, I just want to ask, is there anyone out there that would prefer a print of this, of the slides, as opposed to viewing it up here? Perfect. So hello, everyone. My name is Kayleen Hamelin, and I have been a web developer for 10 years. I've been studying web accessibility for about 2 years now, and I will say that I am not a web accessibility expert, but I am an enthusiast with a good amount of knowledge. Now, in the 10 years that I have been doing web development, I've seen a lot of people are switching over to have accessible websites, but they're saying that their sites are fully accessible when their color contrast is accurate. And I'm here to say that web accessibility is so much more than that, and it's time that we focus on those things as well. Now, web accessibility is a very large topic with a lot of specifics. So I'm going to touch very lightly on some of these, but I encourage you to go deeper as you progress with web accessibility. A rundown of the things that I'll be talking to today are an overview of what web accessibility is, POUR, which is how we categorize our web accessibility guidelines, keyboard navigation, semantic HTML for a more predictable and dependable experience, structuring our content and our materials for all learning types, and in the end, I'll give some sites that I've found helpful as I go through my web accessibility journey. So quick show of hands. Who here has used the tab key to go through a website or web form? How about watching a video with subtitles on mute? Have you ever read something, got to the end, and it was so long and so complex, you still don't know what you read? All these things and more are part of what web accessibility is. There's a common conception that right now web accessibility is just for people with disabilities, and that's simply not true. It's about getting your content to everyone, no matter their situation or their preference. And that's kind of the point, isn't it? You worked so hard on this piece of content, this site, this image, that you want to make sure the broadest audience possible gets to it and can utilize it. So when we're going into this, though, we're not going in without knowing anything. We do have guidelines, and they're called WCAG, or the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. They're in their second iteration in a 0.1 form. But most of the time we're still dealing with 0.0. These were built by W3C, which is the World Wide Web Consortium. And everything under it, and there's about 61 guidelines, goes into A, AA, or AAA. A being the easiest, and AAA being the hardest to get compliance for. And this is especially important for us in Ontario, because we have an act that was passed called the AODA, or the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act. And what this requires is for everything accessibility, and not just web. But for web, it requires us to be WCAG 2.0 AA compliant, except for two things: live captioning, which we still have, and audio descriptions. And this is a requirement for January 1st, 2021. Which in the web world is not that far away. But when we get into WCAG, we can separate things into one of 4 categories: perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. And all this together, for short, is POUR. And I'm going to go to an example of every one of these. And so the first one is perceivable. So you can see here that we have an image, and I'm going to deal specifically with alt attributes on images. And so on the Ontario sticker site, you'll see that there is an alt attribute that says this is a sample of the Ontario vehicle permit and saying where the permit number is. And this is important because it starts in the description to say, look at the image to find where this is. So it's there so that somebody who is not using something that will display these images still knows what's going on. But equally important is to keep the alt attribute in an empty state if you have an image that's not giving any value. So the same site, we have an image of a license plate, but it's not doing anything besides making a nice little visual. If you just don't add an alt attribute, it's going to read the name of your image. I don't know about you, but a lot of my images are just random keys, and that's not really that helpful for anyone. When we get into operable, an example here are the focuses. And so this is as you're tabbing through that blue border that will explain where you are. And a lot of times, because we have a CSS pseudo acronym, a pseudo element of focus, we can remove this. And this is important if you have something like a blue site, because blue on blue, you won't be able to see that. But every interaction should have an outline around it. So in this case, this is actually an accessibility site. It's not fully over the image, but that area is what is interactable. Understandable. So if you're ever in a form and you hit submit, and instead of giving you any information, it just kind of does a visual cue, it's not helpful. So if I didn't notice that these things weren't styled to be read to begin with, if I don't have the ability or ease ability to see red, or if I'm on a mobile device and these things are not on my screen anymore, I'm just going to keep hitting submit and trying to figure out what's going on. What should happen is at the bottom when you hit submit, there should be a message that says, here are the fields you missed that you require, and go up to fix them, please. Canadian, so please. Robust. So robust is probably the most unknown, but it's really about making sure that your site is structurally sound. Generally, we'll start with perceivable and work our way down because that is just the way that we think. We think about how we see things, and then is it right? So in the example I have here, I omitted the head, so the validators are yelling at me. This could also be that you have duplicate IDs on a page. It could also be that I didn't end one of my elements. But if we break it down again and we go into every element and we make sure that our sites are perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust, we will end up with a very accessible website. But if we dive in a little bit further into keyboard specifically, we really should watch about things like keyboard traps, which I'll show an example of in the next slide, but it's when you're tabbing through and you can't get in or out, you're stuck. You're where you are and you just can't move. Making sure that you're tabbing in an understandable order. So if you go and you're tabbing and you start in the header and you go down to the footer and then you go to the slideshow over to the right and then back up to the content, that's not very helpful and it's a very disjointed experience. The other thing we want to make sure is that you plug in your thing before you start, is that we're making sure that all of the interactions you have on a website are completely interactable. If you have a link, a button, an image that you can click that turns into a nice light box, they should be keyboardable as well. So what I'd like to do another time when you're at home is if you can install something called Chromebox in your Chrome extensions. It is built by Google, it is completely safe. And what it does is it acts as a screen reader for your website. So it will read as if it was a screen reader. You don't have to pay for any software to do so. And go to your favorite site, whether that be Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Yahoo News, whatever that may be. And then enable this, turn off your screen, and if you can't turn off your screen, put a piece of paper or a blanket over your screen. And using only Chromebox, try and do your most common action. Whether it be a comment, a like, reading a post, or just starting something new. And I think you'll be surprised how hard it is to do those normal actions that you do every single day without the visual cues that you are so accustomed to. But I did say I'd get into a keyboard trap, and that's what this is. I have debranded it so you don't know where I was, but as I was going through, it loaded up a modal to try and get me to subscribe. But the focus was gone. So not only could I not hit the X to close this thing, I couldn't even give them my email to get away from it. I was stuck, and the only thing you can do is refresh and hope it doesn't come back. So if you don't have a mouse, you choose not to use a mouse, your mouse is broken, you spilled something on your trackpad so it's not working, you're stuck and you can never get into this site. But now that we've gone through the keyboard, it's time to get down to the nitty-gritty of semantic HTML. And I'm not going to go through every example that's listed here, but it's really about using the right HTML for the job. This is things like using a link as a link and a button as a button. It's also things like using the right header. If you're using an H4 because it looks prettier, what you're actually doing is making anything that tries to make a table of contents of your site have a really hard time. It's expecting an H1, then an H2, then an H3 to try and segregate what the information is and how it should be structured. And so if it really is a matter of the styling, you can use CSS to make it the way that you'd like. But I do want to say that if all else fails, we do have ARIA attributes, which are there to try and help get through some of this. So these are things like roles, described by, label for. But if we're getting to the point where we're using ARIA, it might be a time to stop and ask yourself why, and is there an HTML and semantic way that you can do it? Now, once we have a very nice, semantic, perfect site, we really get down to the content that's within it. And it's important to think of all people on how they learn, because not everyone learns from staring at a screen, and not everyone can stare at a screen for a very long time. So, in things like a PDF, it's important to have a recording or a printout, which is why I asked if anyone wanted a printout before I started. It's also important that what you have in here is as least complex as possible. So all of my slides and what I've said have run through a screen reader, and I will show that in the next slide on what that site is. And everything is a grade level 12 or lower, with the exception of the poor slides, because each and every one of those words is a complex word, and I didn't get to say what those words were. It is best to try and go between a grade level 7 to 9, but keeping your audience in mind. If you're going for your doctorate and submitting a grade 7 level, might not do so well. And if you're trying to give a printout to somebody who's in grade 1 and giving them a grade 9, they're not going to know what you're talking about. But keeping in mind, it is important to try and get as low as possible so that everyone who can try and go through this content that you've worked so hard on. So as I said, here are some links that I found helpful. Some of them really are just, they are the book of it. So the first one is WCAG, which is at w3.org/tr/WCAG20, 2 being the number, and 0 being the number. The next one is AODA, which is specific to Ontario, but there are accessibilities in guidelines in every province and most of the states. So for Ontario, this is at aoda.ca. Then we have Chromebox, which is the extension I talked about earlier, and that is at chromebox.com, VOX. And then we have Axe. And Axe is an extension that works on Firefox as well as Chrome, and it's an automated tool to try and find those easy-to-find accessibility issues. Things like missing all attributes, words like click me, which is not giving context as to what the link is actually going to. And so that is at www.deque.com/AXE. I do want to point out that while automated tools are great, they are built by humans, and humans are fallible. They do not find everything, so it's still important to do a manual check. The readability test tool that I used and ran my slides through is at webpages.com/tools/read-able, dash being the symbol. And then lastly, while this talk was about getting past color contrast is still an important part of what web accessibility is. And so there's this site that produces something called a contrast grid. And so you can put your hex codes for your brand in it, and it will say what of your brand colors are compatible with one another. And if they are compatible, are they A, AA, or AAA? And this is at contrast-grid.8shapes.com, 8 being the word. And with that, thank you very much. I hope that this has helped with jumpstarting your web accessibility. If you have any questions, that's my Twitter, or you can find me for the next 2 days. Thank you.